Paul, you're talking about insurance, the history of insurance. Like you talk about, you can say in interconnection or interconnectivity that is between them. Plateau United, so they were not Plateau United then, they were Mighty Jets.
They were Plateau 11.
The Plateau 11, then they became Mighty Jets, you know, and they kept on playing them to the final. 13 times, unlucky 13. 13 times they played to the final, FA Cup final, this IT Cup final, they played and lost. And then, like I said, that one, they are in that insurance for the replay. They are banned. You know, they said we are not playing anymore. They abandoned it. But then they recreated themselves, and like you said, by 1999, when I started winning, by the 14th attempt, they won it. But so you can see insurance, Mighty Jets, Plateau United, that the history of the clubs are just there intertwined. You can always get them. So we are. Let's calm down. The book, The History of Nigerian Football, covered up to our date of independence.
Yes, yes.
You understand? Now, you talk about Hope Weddell.
Yes.
Okay. The earliest recollection of the national team has to do with the tourists.
Right.
What is your recollection of them? The composition and, you know, yeah.
Yeah, so in 1949, a team of 18 Nigerians that were selected from across the nation.
18,
yeah, the team had 18 players.
Okay.
Only one from the north. That was John Dankaro, who was from
John
Dankaro.
There is Dankaro, who was the FA chairman.
His younger brother.
That was the younger brother of John Dankaro.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was from Takum in what is now Taraba State, but he actually grew up through the mines. He was a mining executive and was a star in the Jos Tin Mine Leagues, which was probably outside of Lagos, one of the biggest leagues in Nigeria. So he was the only one from the north, and then the other 17 players were from various parts of the south. 9 of them were from Hope Waddle. So even after almost 50 years, they still had...
Wait, 9, that is 50% of the players came from Hope Waddle. Calabar, are you hearing that?
Yeah.
50% came from Calabar, the same school.
Yes.
All right.
And so the captain was Etim Henshaw, who was from Hope Waddle, so it naturally had to be the captain. He played for Marine, which was the sort of parastatal that oversaw the ports of Nigeria. In those days, like I said earlier, most of the players were actually civil servants.
Yeah.
The railway was actually the most dominant team, the railway workers, and again, these guys... During the day, maybe they were an accountant in the railway, and then in the evening, they would go and train and play football. By the time of the tourists, by the time of the 1949 tour, railway had taken over from Marine as the best team in Lagos, and therefore basically the best team in Nigeria. And they were amazing. But what happened is there was a colonial official named Mr. Urian, who was the coach of the railway team, and he would actually recruit people from around Nigeria to come and work for the railway so that they could be players on his team. So Justin Unwudiwe, who was going to secondary school in Enugu, Urian went to his graduation ceremony and signed him there to come. He gave him a job in railway in Lagos so that he would move to Lagos and become part of this team. So that was their way of sort of getting around they weren't allowed to be professionals, but they were playing that way.
That is Etim.
That's Etim Henshaw, yes.
Etim Henshaw.
Yes.
That was the first, you can say the first captain, of the national team.
Yeah. Even, you know, I met him almost 60 years later, and he was still called Skipper.
He was still called Skipper. He's the skipper of skippers.
Yeah. He was the original one. Yeah.
All right. When the FA was founded, was it government that founded it, or was it individuals that founded it?
It was individuals. They were government officials, but they were individuals. They weren't founding it. It wasn't like the colonial governor said, go start this. They started it on their own. It was a combination of colonial officials plus some people from trading companies, both European and Nigerian. So it was a mix. From the beginning, it was interracial. You know, so it was always kind of independent of government. So why it later became taken over by government, I actually don't. That happened in the post-colonial era.
Okay, we had before the Green Eagles, we have the Red Devils.
Yes.
The Red Devils, were they existing before prior to independence?
Yes. So so that was the name that the team was known in the 50s, basically, and it was Red Devils. They wore red jerseys. In the colonial era, the Nigerian flag was red, so that was why.
Okay.
And so basically, the Tourists in 1949 was the first sort of fully representative Nigerian team, even though it wasn't that representative. But then through the 1950s, the most important matches were matches played against Gold Coast and then eventually Ghana. And there was every year there was a game, and you know, one year Nigeria would win, the next year Ghana would win.
And they hosted the rivalry.
Yeah, and it became a huge thing. In 1956, Ghana beat Nigeria something like 5-0, and the headline in the Nigerian papers was, "This is worse than not getting independence." so it was a big deal. But what's interesting though is, other than Ghana, Nigeria played against Togo at one point. They played against what was then called French Sudan, which is Mali. But they're really, okay, and then after the tour of England, they came back and actually their first international was against Sierra Leone. So they played Sierra Leone in Freetown when they were sailing back to Nigeria. That was the first real official international. But then the only national team.
When was that?
That was in 1949.
1949.
On the way back from England. It was the first official.
They played against the Sierra Leone
in Freetown. Yeah.
I hope you guys are taking. It's like a lecture in the lecture room. You understand? In 49, the first team like it would Skipo himself. Etimenshod led the team, 18-man team to England to go over there, and then 9 of them came from Hope Waddell Institute in Calabar. We're talking about then Calabar was the capital of Nigeria.
Up until 1906, Calabar was the capital of the Southern Nigerian Protectorate.
Up to 1906.
Yes.
Capital of the Southern Protectorate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you are getting that history done, and then you now you came in and said, look, when they were coming back from Europe, coming back from England, they played the Sierra Leone. Was the match played in Sierra Leone or in Nigeria?
It was played in Freetown, on the way back, but
okay.
Etim Henshaw actually stayed back in the UK for studies.
Okay.
So he actually didn't play that match.
All right.
In fact, actually, after the UK tourist visit, he never played for Nigeria again.
Wow.
So there was actually a conflict between the railway
and the
folks and the marine folks.
Okay.
The railway said, look, we're half the team, so we should have the captainship. Etim Henshaw was sort of the most senior player. He was from Hope Waddell, so he was given the captainship, but so even then we had a little bit of,
So from the very beginning, it has always been there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Red Devils, like you said, they played Serenas, they played Ghana, and then you are saying beaten 5-0 by Ghana, and we said this is worse than being not having our independence. Then we have various. How were the FA chairmen? How were they elected? Can you recollect any recollection of that period in time?
Right. No, it was just. I think they were elected for 3-year terms. By the 1950s, then like I said, in the early days, it was Europeans who were the chairman, and then the vice chair would be a Nigerian.
Okay.
But then by the 1950s, it was completely Nigerianized and led by Nigerian chairman.
Can you recollect who the first Nigerian?
I actually can't remember the name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'll chip in something here.
Yeah.
We're known then as the Red Devils.
Yeah.
And we became the Green Eagles. Why not the Red Eagles? Because even the eagle on the coat of arms is red.
I don't know. That happened after.
The Green Eagles is green, white, green.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Green, that is the green. That is there. You have white in the middle, green. So it's green, white, green. So these are the eagles. Of course,
that symbol, eagle on the coat of arms.
I think it was more about the colors.
But I think it was more
about the colors because of what it represents. Unity.
Like you said, the color of the flag for independence was red.
Definitely.
And then we named our team. In almost all Ghana Black Stars, you can see the star.
Definitely.
You got almost every country, like the national, some of them, the national team, they name it after the flag.
Yeah.
I think they name it after the flag. Probably that is why we're having
Ken, what I'm excited about is actually the fact that this is supposed to be a point for us to start getting it right in terms of research, in terms of capacity development. How exactly do we get our facts right? We've seen in the past few years our league, our FA Cup, where we struggle with keeping records. We struggle with keeping statistics. We've seen the situation, I think 4 seasons ago, where we didn't know who the highest goal scorer in the FA Cup was. It was like a struggle. It was a back and forth thing. And I think it gives us an opportunity to begin to look at things the right way. We need to start doing the proper archiving of facts, of stats to get it right. You've talked about 1933, 1945. I know for someone like Kunle Cholaja, he had always, aligned with what you had been saying. And I think it's important that the FA, at this point in time, comes out with a full statement.
Full statement.
I mean,
let us admit that from all records available,
communication is key. We don't have to hide away from the facts. The facts are there. Starting from the LDFA and all that, the facts are there. So if someone controverts what you had been doing, you just have to admit. There's nothing wrong in admitting and saying, this is the way to go.
Jimmy, do you want to admit on their behalf?
That's my clamor. That's my clamor.
In all fairness, though, when my book was launched last year, Amadou Pinnick was there.
Okay.
And he said, okay, look, bring us the archival evidence, and we'll look into it.
Okay.
So I think now, I mean, since then they've been sort of busy.
All right.
It behoves the FA or the FF to have their independence confirmation, not tell him to bring the evidence.
The evidence, like Jimmy said, Kule Solajak, came here.
Yeah, exactly.
And we talked about Kule Solajak's book. You understand? We talked about the facts, all Nigerian matches.
Exactly.
He documented them. So Super Eagles. When Murida wrote about better insurance, we discussed the book here. Ayo Ademokoya, we discussed his book.
I think even Imajemega.
It's
like people have got facts.
So the book, just like he's putting this book about the history of football in Nigeria, which you can also, when you want to get, because this book is rated among the top 10 of Channel's book club. Among the top 10
for 2018.
For 2018.
Yes.
It is a must for those of you who are interested, because I started everyone was interested, so want to be fed. But you want to feed yourself on the facts of Nigerian history, Nigerian football history. There is nowhere to go. Go and get a copy of that thing, and then so that when we discuss, we can now be telling them that the Nigerian Football Association was founded in 1933. That is from the earliest record when they met. They published it. They put there. After the meeting, the result was put in. Everything was in newspaper. They only put those in newspaper then. I remember we were reading Evening Times,
and it wasn't fake news.
And it wasn't fake news. Okay, your experience going around Nigeria, your experience, and also it's like you've not spent much time in Netherlands.
Actually, no, I haven't. I mean, I've spent in my whole life maybe combined 1 month in the Netherlands. I don't speak Dutch, but I speak Hausa. So
how about Pidgin?
I did. I did now.
So you are Dutch.
Yes.
Okay.
Dutch.
All right.
Dutch by origin. Dutch by origin.
Is it Nigerian Dutch or Dutcherian?
I don't know.
Okay, there is a breaking news here coming out from Australia. We remember that Caroline Wozniacki was dumped out by Sharapova, and then Sharapova was also sent packing. But right now, yes, Jimmy should be interested in this, because the young man, the Greek god, Stefanos Tsitsipas, has just knocked out Roger Federer. Federer fans, this is not too good. That is the first set, and all 4 sets went at the distance 6-7, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. How? So Roger Federer is out. The 2 defending champions are out, and then so by the time we meet here next week Sunday, we shall be talking about the male finals, because the male finals will have ended. So as we leave, Weber, what your closing remark?
Yeah, so my closing remark is this. As a nation, we have an amazing history. And what I tried to do with this book is to tell a story of football, but it's something that tied us all together, tied Nigerians together. And I think it's important that as a nation, we recognize that there's something we have in common. And it's not only football, but there's so many other things. And so through this book and through this history, I think people can learn about not just football, but about Nigeria as a whole, and that we've been as a nation for over 100 years.
We've been as a nation for over 100 years. We played football for 150 years. Jimmy, remember that. All right, we are going, not much to say again.
Well, not much to say. It's interesting to be with him on set. And also, Roger Federer losing, I think it's a major loss.
Yeah, we are going. It is Channel Sport on Sunday. See you next week. I'm Ken Ochonogo. Stay blessed.